In the corporate world, the most dangerous moves aren't made in the open. They are played psychological games.
Welcome to Psychology of Power, where we decode dark psychology, workplace manipulation, and power dynamics so you never become a target again.
Today, we're exposing the 5 dark psychology moves your boss uses to keep you under control, and tactic number 5 is the sneaky reason you're not getting promoted. Welcome to Mind Hidden.
If you've ever walked out of a meeting with your boss feeling inexplicably guilty, confused, or doubting your own competence, you weren't just experiencing bad management. You were likely on the receiving end of a calculated psychological play. Today, we break down 5 covert dark psychology tactics used in the workplace, and precisely how to flip the script.
Tactic number 1. Strategic unpredictability. In behavioral psychology, this is known as an intermittent reinforcement schedule. A manipulative leader will praise your work lavishly one week, making you feel valued and secure. But the next week, without any clear reason, they become distant, hypercritical, or completely ignore you. Why it works. Human brains crave predictability. When rewards or validation become random, your anxiety spikes. You naturally work harder, longer, and more obsessively just to get that positive validation back. Tactic number 2. The false urgency trap. This happens when a manager constantly frames non-critical tasks as life or death emergencies, especially outside of working hours. They might send an email at 9 p.m. tagged urgent for something due next week. Why it works. High stress impairs your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for critical thinking and boundary setting. By keeping you in a perpetual state of micro-panic, they prevent you from assessing whether the request is reasonable or fair. How to flip the script. Implement the delayed acknowledgement protocol. Unless your contract explicitly mandates 24/7 availability, do not respond immediately. When you do respond, use calm, structured language. I have received this. I am currently prioritizing Project X and will review this first thing tomorrow morning during work hours. This reestablishes your boundary without being aggressive. Before we move to tactic number 3, if you're currently navigating a high-stress workplace or subtle manipulation, we've put together a free resource, the Workplace Psychological Defense Checklist. It contains 10 clear boundary scripts you can use immediately. And if you value strategic psychology over superficial advice, consider subscribing to stay ahead. Tactic number 3. The invalidation shift. This is corporate gaslighting at its finest. You agree on a direction or a deadline during a verbal conversation. Later, when you deliver, your manager says, "I never agreed to that," or "You clearly misunderstood what we discussed." Why it works. It forces you to rely on their version of reality, steadily eroding your confidence and making you overly dependent on their approval. How to flip the script. Rely entirely on the cover your assets rule. Never leave a verbal meeting without sending a quick follow-up email. Use this exact phrase. Tactic number 4. Manufactured isolation. A manipulative boss will subtly divide a team. They might whisper to you in private, "You're the only one here I can actually trust," while simultaneously dropping hints to others that your work isn't up to par. Why it works. Isolation makes you vulnerable. If you don't communicate with your peers, you can't cross-check information. You become entirely reliant on your boss's perspective. How to flip the script. Build transparent, peer-to-peer relationships across the organization. Share credit publicly, and maintain open communication. When a manager tries to confide negative opinions about a peer, remain neutral and say, "I haven't experienced that, but I'll focus on keeping our project on track."
Tactic number 5. Moving the goalposts. You hit the target. You exceed your KPIs. But instead of recognition, your boss immediately raises the expectations or reframes the success as just the bare minimum. Why it works. It keeps you in a perpetual state of striving, ensuring you never ask for a raise, a promotion, or better working conditions, because you're made to feel you haven't quite earned it yet. How to flip the script. Get performance metrics defined in writing before starting a project. When goalposts are shifted, refer back to the agreed terms calmly. When we set our quarterly objectives, the benchmark agreed upon was X, which has been met. Let's discuss how this outcome positions us for the next performance review. Power dynamics in the workplace are complex, but understanding the psychology behind them gives you control back. In our next video, we will explore how covert narcissists take credit for your work in meetings and how to stop them. Click the playlist on your screen right now to watch it next. And remember, knowledge is your strongest shield. Thank you for watching, and stay strategic.